Okay, welcome everyone. Today on the program, we're going to get into a little bit of the volatility in the markets and trying to dispel a lot of the conventional wisdom that's being pushed. I'm one that tries to explain to people that one should not fear the proverbial recession monster. Everyone's talking about, is there going to be a recession? Is there not going to be a recession? So today I'm watching CNBC. Well, I'm exercising this morning, and the Business Roundtable in Washington D.C. They're down there, and Jamie Dimon's there. And Jamie Dimon was, could there be a recession? Yes. Might there not be a recession? I don't know. That's basically what he said. This is one of the biggest, the top CEOs in the country, biggest bank out there by market capitalization, JP Morgan. And he made an interesting point. He says, we have to protect our clients no matter what the economy's doing. And he's right. And he's right. And many people, took it as, oh, that's, negative comments about what's going to be happening moving forward. We've made ourselves abundantly clear here. We don't subscribe to the idea that a lot of the pundits and people out there saying, and you see it in market trading, is that good news is bad news. I don't believe it. When I see a manufacturing number come in strong, I'm happy. When I see a GDP number outperform, I'm happy. When I see the fact that people are able to go out and find work and get jobs, I'm happy. Again, it gets back to this ridiculous notion that the only way to stop inflation is to blow the village up to save it. There's no logic or reason behind that. It makes no sense. Can it be done? Sure. Would it stop inflation? But at what cost? Inflation is a myriad of different reasons. You talk about the monetary issue, talk about all the money printing that took place during COVID. A little bit later on today, we're going to talk about some of the PPP fraud that is, more of it's coming to light at this point in time. A lot of that money is working its way through the system. Monetary supply too has dropped significantly. The Fed is weaning off the balance sheet little by little. These are all good things. Also had news today that, it's expected. Housing costs are coming down. And that's one of the biggest aspects when it comes to inflation is housing costs. And they've gone parabolic. And they've needed to come down. And many reasons behind that. Again, it wasn't too long ago here. We were talking about the costs of lumber and all the things that it took, supply chain issues when it comes to building homes. Those are not as big of a concern now. So the price of these things can come down. No, not to mention, we talk about the inverse relationship between mortgage rates and housing costs. That's inevitable. Granted, talked about real estate here on the program. There's many markets around the country that are going to get cash buyers, and they don't need to take out a mortgage. And it's going to take a while for those prices to come down. But that's okay. They're easing. And they're easing when it comes to rentals. And if it continues on this pace, which I don't see any reason why it's not, it will help. It will help when it comes to inflation. More good news out there. Taiwan Semiconductor, they were planning on investing $12 billion in Arizona. Instead, they are investing 40 billion in Arizona, from 12 to 40. Now, granted, okay, we discussed this here on the program. Granted, that the CHIPS Act and the subsidies and tax handouts and all that stuff are playing a part in this. And again, this is one of these stories out there, much like the rail strike, where I'm constantly playing tennis in my mind when it comes to this. What I mean by playing tennis in my mind, I see both sides, the arguments for and the arguments against. And it's very difficult to come down on either side. You know, it's funny. Rand Paul, when it came to the rail strike last week, he's a guy I have a great deal of respect for. He voted present. He voted present. He didn't vote either way. CHIPS Act. Problem I have is when, well, I got a problem with the Micron factory in upstate New York, because that takes an overabundance of subsidies and handouts and giveaways to go be there, and it's not fair to the local residents because of the tax stuff that's going on. And if they're not going to pay taxes, getting all these things, they would never set up in New York. Never, ever, ever would anybody, when they open up a chip plant, a major manufacturing plant in the state of New York, unless you're getting some sort of handout. Arizona's different climate. Different climate when it comes to business. Still not perfect, but most certainly a different climate. And again, this factory in Arizona, you know, one of the problems we were talking about is as far as national defense is concerned, we completely rely upon chips coming from Taiwan. From Taiwan. Our military, phones, laptops, chips from Taiwan, that small island, well, not that small, island nation, not even though most of the world doesn't recognize it as a nation, that China thinks is theirs and wants back. And we're reliant upon chips from that country? Again, it's amazing to me how we've allowed this to go on for so long, but now I guess no more. All of the chips, see, this plant gets done, all of the chips that we need are going to be made here in the United States. Again, independence. Independence, great thing. Great thing. When you don't have to rely upon others. When you don't have to, you want to get to a position like where you don't have to rely upon others. People can rely upon you, and you can go out there and you can help them. We here in the United States, actually, Jamie Dimon mentioned this in his interview today. We don't need any more water. We don't need any imports of food. We don't need to import energy. You take a look at China, how many barrels of oil a day that they have to import. They're not in the situation that we are. They still have to import food into China. They don't have enough to feed their nation. We're not anywhere near that. And again, it goes back to that line that I loved from the movie A Bronx Tale, where it says the saddest thing in the world is wasted talent. Saddest thing in the world is wasted talent. And again, we have a lot of it. We have, you talk about potential. You talk about the wealth that we've created here in this nation. It's the tip of the iceberg. Again, if we can get out of our own way in many respects. Now, I know Joe Biden's going to be meeting with some of the heads of the various different oil companies. Again, I don't know what's going to be done behind the scenes there. I don't know what type of deal is going to be cut. We all know what he says when he's on the stump and, getting rid of fossil fuel. It's not happening. Get your arms around it. It's not happening anytime soon. It's not. Now you take a look at, talk about again out of your own way. Here's just a couple headlines. This is one of our major competitors in the world, Europe. If you want to even call them that. I mean, for the longest period of time, what does Europe do to compete against the United States? File lawsuits. I remember when they filed a lawsuit when GE wanted to buy Honeywell, and that deal, that was like 2000, if I'm not mistaken. It's what they do. They sue our tech companies. They, go after Google. They go after Apple. They go after Microsoft because they don't come up with anything. They don't have a very dynamic economy. And this is what happens when you continually move to the left. But anyway, I'm not making this up. France is now going to ban what they're calling all short haul domestic flights. Meaning any flight that it would take less, that would take, no, sorry, was it two? No, any flight that would take 2.5 hours via a direct rail connection is going to be banned. So if you take a look at it here in the United States, they would 2.5, yeah, they'd probably be banning flights between New York and Boston. Some of these little areas there. That's what we would be doing. We're doing the same thing. They're doing that in France. And the goal is to ban all domestic air travel in France because of climate change. Now, they haven't said what they're going to do. This isn't yet, not yet, doesn't count for private aircraft, but it will eventually. Now, again, you are you're a business owner, and this is the type of climate that what you're seeing transpire over in France. Are you going to want to set up shop there? Are you going to want to set up shop? Again, I don't think flights should be subsidized to various different locales. We do this here in the United States, and it's wrong. Okay, I think it should be based. Airlines should base their flights whether or not they're going to make money on them. So yeah, you get short haul flights. We do this in the United States. We do. Okay, get rid of them if they're not making any money. The same thing with rail travel. Can't make money on it, shut it down. Shut it down. It's not necessary. Find another way. But for the entire country. Think about that for a second. They want to, this is the goal, get rid of all domestic flights in France, which again, that would be about 4 hours, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I should have looked this up. I just thought about it for a second. I don't even, does the train even go to Charles de Gaulle? They must have a train go to Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris. Now, I know the train goes to Heathrow. I know it because we took it. Yeah, listen, we land in London and our car service didn't show up. Didn't show. And we're trying to figure the entire thing out. But I made it an adventure. I did. I made it an adventure. And again, this was a long vacation. This was going to London and then going to Greece. Yeah. I got a good workout. Got a good workout carrying my wife's bags, which are always laden with shoes up steps and whatnot, going from trains to subways to get where our hotel was. So what? Makes for a good story. Anyway, Switzerland. How about those EVs? Switzerland right now, because of the energy crisis, electricity crisis, is looking to ban EVs. Yes, electric vehicles. Limiting the use of electric vehicles because electricity is in short supply over the course of the winter. I don't know how they would track this or how they would know. I guess they'd probably see people driving around with them. Are they going to give you a ticket? You're not allowed to drive that car? I don't know how that would work. A special charge, maybe shut down. Can they shut down your home charging port station thing like they, certain areas of the country can mess around with your thermostat? I don't know. Maybe they can over there. And again, one story after another out of the UK. The UK government has had put hundreds and hundreds of soldiers on standby to cover ambulance crews, firefighters, and border force staff because they're expecting more and more strikes. Man, the country can't get out of their own way. An opportunity for us to lead. Last week on the program, we talked about Macron. Europe. In the Wall Street Journal today, our allies are none too happy with us. None too happy with us because of the Inflation Reduction Act and the subsidies that were given to EV manufacturers. Yeah, we've been doing that for a long time. Okay, they're making more EVs now in Europe. But again, one of the largest auto manufacturers in Europe, Volkswagen, the CEO came out and said, this is case closed. Okay? Case closed. It's checkmate right here. They can't afford to open up the battery plants in Europe because their energy costs are too high. Have you seen how freaking expensive these European EVs are? I'd say Teslas are cheap. They're not even ours. You think of a Ford Lightning F-150. That thing is expensive as all hell. You got to be kidding me. I'm going to spend $100,000 on a pickup truck? Get the hell out of here. They're expensive. What do you think it'd be in Europe? What do you think it'd be in Europe? We've gone over their energy costs. It's not feasible at this point in time. It is what it is. So again, you can yell to Biden about, the Inflation Reduction Act, and it's not an Inflation Reduction Act. And I don't like any of the subsidies either. But Macron and the Europeans are full of it. They're full of it. This is just another way where they're going to say, you're not being fair, and we're going to put some tariffs on your stuff. Again, guys, get with the program. Get out of your own way. Okay? Tell Greta Thunberg to go back to high school. Go back to high school. Become energy independent. Become dynamic. Because competition always breeds excellence. Anyway, it's just another example, people. You have to see the world for the terrain, not for the conventional wisdom of the day. We have quite a bit going on right here in this country. China is an absolute mess. That was our, not too long ago, all the boogeymen out there. China's going to take over. China's going to rule the world. Listen, China's doing a lot and making investments in a myriad of places around the world. And that's something that independent companies are going to have to do as well. But internally, they're a mess. And we've gone over that here on the show. All right. I want to change direction here a little bit. Also got to see today, Doug McMillon. Doug McMillon is CEO of Walmart. He was interviewed as well. Interesting interview as well. And I was kind of taken back by this. I know we've seen this happen with CVS. Where was it? Was it in Boston? No, was it Philadelphia or Boston? No, it was Boston, I think, where they were upset because some of the pharmacies, Walgreens or CVS, were shutting down, and one of the politicians was all bent out of shape. Well, Walmart stores across the United States are grappling with an uptick in shoplifting that could lead to higher prices and closed stores. Remember shutting down a Walmart? I mean, how bad is theft? Actually shutting down a Walmart? He said, theft is an issue. It's higher than what it has historically been. We've got safety measures, security measures that we put in place by store location. I think local law enforcement being staffed and being a good partner is part of the equation, and that's normally how we approach it. Walmart's not the only one. Last month, Target CFO said shoplifting has jumped 50% year over year, leading to more than $400 million in losses. They're not really losses. It's not Target's loss, it's your loss, because they're just going to price those losses into what you buy. Again, it's a cost of doing business. More and more stories here. Marauding bands of looters are stealing billions of dollars worth of merchandise as America descends into lawlessness. I think we saw the video, and most saw the video. The guy walking out of it. What was it? A Burlington coat factory or I don't know, TJ Maxx something, with bags. Just took like everything. He was dragging them behind him, and nobody did anything to stop him. And yet you have this story at Walmart. 83-year-old man. 83-year-old North Carolina Home Depot worker died. Guy's trying to walk out of the store with, a bunch of pressure cookers? Something like that. Bunch of pressure cookers, trying to steal it. The guy stepped in front, the worker, 83 years old, saying that the guy's just walking out with these things, not going to pay for it. The hoodlum threw the elderly man to the ground, and he hit his head, and he's now dead. You want my take? I'll give you my take. First and foremost, if I was, and again, I'm a fan of Home Depot. If I was that worker, I'd sue the hell out of Home Depot. I would. I'd sue the hell out of Home Depot. I know. I'm sure they have policies in place. Don't stop people from. But again, you've got people that are 83. Yeah, it's an 83-year-old out there that's from a different point in time when the rule of law, I guess, mattered a hell of a lot more than it does today. There should be, if I was the CEO, I don't give a shit what the woke freaking backlash would be. I would have armed security at the stores. It's amazing to me. I go to a New York Jets game, and they got people walking around with freaking machine guns. You've got people walking around with machine guns. And American airports now, you've got people walking around with automatic weapons. And I explain this to my kids. This wasn't the case when I was a child, when I was a kid. First time I saw a machine gun up close and personal was when we went to Venezuela when I was in high school, leaving the country. Now they're everywhere, except, you know what? We don't have anybody stationed outside these stores. Real simple. Looters will be shot. Period. The end. Period. The end. Guy trying to walk out of a store with hundreds, if not thousands of dollars worth of items. You come up, listen, put it back. Point the gun right at him. Turn the flip right around. Why not? Why not? Again, people, you can't tell me. You can't tell me that the overwhelming majority of this country wants this. Oh, sure. Sure, you got all of the pajama boy woke, how shall I put it? Pussies out there. That's how I'll put it. Oh, no, you can't do that. No, yes, you can. Yes, you can. You want to put a stop to it? There's your solution right there. This shouldn't happen in the United States. Plain and simple. Anyway, all right. Went off on a rant today. Anyway, everybody have a wonderful, wonderful day. Watchdog on wallstreet.com, our site. Take advantage of all the great things we have there. Personal CFO program, account repair kits, newsletter, you name it. Watchdog on wallstreet.com. God bless and have a wonderful day.